Hey, what's up, everybody? Welcome to the Free Thought Generation podcast. I'm Nate, your host, and with me is my son, Alex.
Hey, what's going on, guys?
Dude, so we've had a pretty emotional day warming up for the first episode of the pod and really diving into some topics, and it's been very emotional for us. Let's go back to what we were talking about, Alex. Like, it has been emotional. As we can see, we've both been tearing up. It's been a hard day for us. But how do you view it? Like, what's going through your mind right now from the conversations that we've been having?
Yeah, it's a lot. I mean, some of the stuff I really don't want to talk about, but mostly just, let's just put it at not good things. I mean, I would talk about it, but
Okay, well, that's where I was talking about a pessimistic mindset and an optimistic mindset, right? These are things that you don't want to talk about, nor do I want to talk about, especially, being the parent who has caused some of these things that we have to talk about, being responsible for some of the things that we have to talk about, but they do need to be talked about. And what I mean by the optimistic, pessimistic mindset is I view it as growth, right? Us having these conversations is only going to relieve all that crap that we've been holding back and help us grow and have a better bond. So when I bring up stuff, like, for example, we were talking about you having a hard time conversating about this stuff, right? That's fair. I get that. I can only imagine why. You know what I mean? Like, I understand that it's hard, but you have to view it as if I can talk about this, I'm going to feel 10 times better, right? Instead of holding it all back in and just waiting for a ticking time bomb to explode. These are things that we have to get out. We can't hold this stuff back any longer. Otherwise, it's going to explode on us.
I knew that earlier. I just never had anyone to talk to about this stuff.
All right, well, since you brought that up, let's talk about why you didn't have anybody to talk about this stuff with. And again, that's my fault, right? I was incarcerated for 4 years, looking at life without the possibility of parole, and we haven't really talked about that. We haven't really dived into the story. I don't even think you really know what I was charged with. All you know is that Dad was taken away, right? So do you want to know, like, are you ready for that? Because I mean, like, I've been, dude, really thinking about how to have this conversation with you, because no parent and nor child should ever be having the conversation that we're about to have right now.
Yeah.
What do you want to know?
What happened? Why did it happen?
All right. So in 2018, you were fourth grade?
Yeah, I think.
Fourth grade. Yeah, I was 28 years old. Man, yeah, this is I've tried to prepare myself for this conversation, but it's harder and harder. Actually, telling you the story, telling you what I was charged with, it's very embarrassing. All right, so in 2018, I was charged with first-degree murder and armed criminal action. I was accused of that, but I wasn't good for it. I didn't kill anybody. I didn't hurt anybody. And the story was that the probable cause statement that they had on me, the reason why they charged me with first-degree murder was because one of the witnesses said that I had shot the victim, gave him the gun to hide, but when the cops went to go find the gun, they never found the gun where he said he put it. Right? And the victim was his cousin. He told the cops that I shot his cousin. And then I give him the gun that I allegedly shot her with, gave her the gun, and then he hid it in the attic. This is the probable cause. This is what they arrested me on. Right? First off, where's the gun? Cops never found the gun. Second, if I just shot your cousin, allegedly, why didn't you call the cops right then and there? Or why didn't you put the gun on me? So it made no sense. The story that he was saying made no sense. And I got blamed for it because of my past. So I rode that case out for 4 years, fighting it, and then finally got released in 2021. So again, I didn't kill anybody. I'm not good for what I was accused of, but however, I am taking accountability for putting myself in a situation like that. Instead of being at home with you and your brothers, taking care of you guys, I was out in the freaking streets being a drug addict. That's my accountability. That's where I take responsibility for. Right? Mm-hmm. So, and in that time, looking at life, wasn't expecting to ever, I did, and we'll talk about this in further episodes. I want to get more positive in further episodes. It's not just going to be all negative stuff, right? I'll talk about what I did during the years that I was in the county jail, and then a long time in confinement because of COVID-19, right? And what I used, how I tricked my brain into essentially having a positive mindset while I was in hell, essentially. And how I feel that helped get me out as well by keeping my faith, keeping positive, knowing that I wasn't good for what I was being accused of, and letting that override instead of, oh, it's over, life's done with. Because remember I told you before, before we really started recording this podcast, right? I took you to that bench. Well, that was the first thing we did whenever I got released. We went straight to that bench that I would envision myself sitting on every single day before lockdown. When lockdown happened, I'd sit there and stare at the window, and I'd envision myself sitting on this bench, viewing at myself back in that cell, saying, "You did it. You finally did it. You are free. You're home. You made it home to the boys." And that is what is called visualization manifestation. At first, it was hard to believe because at this time, when I first started doing that in December of 2018, this is fresh when everything started, when I got picked up, right? So it was hard to believe. I kept looking at the papers saying 30 to life plus without parole, right? So it was hard to believe at first, but I didn't give up. Every single day, hours, 365 days a year, I would envision myself sitting on that bench and then eventually forcing myself to believe it. And whenever I started really getting down, okay, this isn't ever going to happen, I'm not hearing anything from the lawyer, that's when I picked up my faith even more. I'm getting out. I'm getting home to my kids. And when I do, what are the steps that I need to take to make sure that I stay in my kids' lives, where I don't end up back in that same situation that I put myself in? And it all started with this, dude. It all started with my mind and then essentially my heart. Because the mindset that I was in whenever I was an addict was a low vibrational mindset. I hated myself. I was self-loathing. I was self-destructing myself. I just wanted to die. I didn't care. Clearly I wasn't being a good dad. And that was part of it too. I blamed myself for not being a good dad. So that type of thinking just created a snowball effect of just a ticking time bomb where I essentially put myself into a situation around a bunch of nobodies, a bunch of losers, and got charged the worst. So with that, I reiterate, I figured out while I was locked up, okay, that type of thinking, that type of vibration that I was in is what got me here. Now I need to switch that, flip the switch literally, and redirect my mindset to get myself out of the situation and stay in that situation. Therefore, I started self-care, self-love. I started loving myself was one of the hardest things to start doing. Taking care of my health, taking care of my mind. I quit beating myself up about all the stuff that had happened with, you and your brothers, breaking the family up. I quit feeling sorry for myself and started taking responsibility and accountability. Right? And that just proves that nothing's permanent. No matter how far you've fallen, no matter how dark things may get, you can always change them. It's never too late. Only time it's too late is when you are dead. It's never too late to get out of the hole that you've created or the darkness that you've created. And it all starts with, tell me, what's the first thing you do when you first wake up?
Brush my teeth.
What do you think about, though? You think about brushing your teeth first, right? You wake up I got to get up, get my day going. I got to brush my teeth. I got to do this. I got to get ready for school or whatever, right?
Yeah.
You think that stuff before you actually go and do it. Everything starts with a thought, right? The thought. So why am I not going to let only good thoughts in? And when negative, and that's not to say that negative thoughts aren't ever going to happen. They're going to happen. I get negative thoughts all the time, especially with my career. And when I got out, I'm not going to be anything. I was accused of this. I was accused of that. I did this. I did that. But that was negative thinking. You can override it with positive thinking. Everything starts with a thought, right? From the moment you wake up, your day starts with a thought. So there you have to practice, use the force, as the Jedi say, to let positive thoughts dictate your life and not negative ones. You're going to have negative thoughts, but you can't let them dictate your life. Let the positive ones do that. Override the negative. Reprogram your mind. Reprogram your brain. And it takes time. It does not happen overnight. And that's what I did. I wrote and wrote and wrote and wrote. And I've got papers and papers of literally in 2020 especially. Remember one specifically, December of 2020, I wrote that has literally detailed everything that I've done now, that I've, to this day, that since I've been out, I've accomplished everything that I wrote in 2020 before I knew I was ever going to get out. Again, I'm looking at life without. Didn't know if I was going to get out because I was still waiting for trial. And I wrote all this stuff down as it happened. And it happened. Down to the career that I have, down to the people that I'm around now, the community that I'm around, the network that I have, down to the coolest boss that I could ever imagine, down to my friends, down to the very car that I've got, and where I want to head from here. One of the things was getting health insurance. You're over here in deep thought, Megan. I don't want to seem like I'm rambling. I need to take a break. Where are you at with what I just revealed to you? How do you feel about me now?
I don't feel a difference. I don't feel different feeling that I, feel about you.
Does it bother you?
Huh?
Does it bother you? What I just told you?
Not really.
It bothers me that I have to tell you that I had to share that with you, as in, that was once upon a time a reality, and that we have to have these types of conversations. But again, I think that's just it too. A lot of parents who go through something like this don't have conversations with their older ones, or if they do, then they think it's cool and they're bragging or whatever. I've seen that several times, and then the kid just ends up being just like the parent like that. So in a way, this is me expressing what I what I used to be and what I was, what I've been through, and respectfully telling you as you're about to start getting into another age, if you will, like teenage age, where essentially that's where it all started with me, with my drug addiction and stuff like that. So this is me telling you, dude, I've been down that path. It's no fun. It's dark. It's lonely. And that you can conversate with me, talk to me about anything so we can prevent that from happening. Because you don't have to go down that dark path to be somebody great. I didn't have to, but I did, unfortunately. But you don't have to. So now that I'm out, I want to be a part of your life more than anything. I want to be a father to you. I'm not going to abandon you like I did. And I know today has been hard with these conversations, and at times we get frustrated with each other because we're still working on this. Right? This is new to us, especially for so long. Let's talk about your mother.
What about her?
How do you feel? We know she left. Where do you stand with that? We haven't really talked about that either. I know that it's got to be hard. Do you miss her? Do you want to reach out to her?
I'm just tired.
Tired? What do you mean?
Just so tired.
Tired of what?
Just mentally.
You're mentally tired? What, from today or in general? From it all?
Just in general.
So as a father, what can I do to help? Because I'm new to this.
I don't really know yet.
What do you need from me? I mean, I'm obviously being there is definitely one of them. But while I'm being there, what can I do?
I guess just don't go.
I'm not going anywhere, dude. You're stuck with me now. So why do you feel that it's hard to conversate?
I don't think it's hard to conversate. I just think it's hard to conversate with you.
Why is it hard to conversate with me?
Because we haven't so long.
I can understand that. I respect that. So what I feel that I can do is ease into it with you, be patient, but I need you just to be open with me. I can definitely promise that on my end. Can you make that promise to me that you can be open with me?
I don't want to promise it and not do it.
All right, I can respect that.
Because it's just hard to open up to people.
Again, I'm not people. It's me and you.
Well, especially with you.
So you mentioned that it's because we haven't for so long. It's not fear of what I'm going to say or think, is it?
Kinda.
How do you mean, kinda?
It's not the full reason, but that's part of it.
Well, this has definitely been a hard episode. But again, the way I look at it, it's growth. So today, dude, Today is 5 years. I'm celebrating 5 years clean, no drugs. Today's been a pretty, again, emotional and epic day on both ends. Us actually having these conversations, but also, it's 5 years ago today is when everything happened, literally to the day. Everything happened on Sunday, June 25th, 2018. Today, at about this time. And yet here we are recording this podcast, rebranding. And that was a big thing too for me. I was thinking, how am I going to rebrand myself? It's pretty epic, man. 5 years ago, and yet here we are. 5 years ago, I saw a friend get murdered in front of me. 5 years later, me and you are having some deep, raw conversations about life. I've even I was thinking about it earlier today, that after this series, that I reached back out to the daughter of the victim. I talked to her about a month after I got out, and she reached out to me and was wanting to know the story. She was wanting to know what really happened. So I met up with her, and we met at the police station. I told her, like, hey, here's really what happened. She gave me a hug. She's like, she believes me compared to the lies that were being told, now that I'm actually able to tell my side of the story, because I was shut away from being able to. So I've even thought about bringing her after we do our series and tying it in together and having a conversation with her about being a daughter who lost a mother to gun violence, what that's like, and hear her side of the story of what she had to go through, and then me being the alleged person who did it, and us having a conversation. I think that would be very enlightening as well. But right now it's just me and you. Like you said, man, I'm drained. I'm not gonna lie. Today is it's been very draining because of I literally mentally had to prepare myself to be able to tell you this, and I thought I have been for like the last couple years, but like my heart's racing right now. I'm telling you this, and it's really hard to continue the conversation any further because I think it's just so much emotion is going through us right now. But yeah, in episodes to come, dude, I would really like to have be more positive, right? We'll talk about instead of focusing on the past, right? Now that we've got the story out, we'll talk about the solutions, because that's really what I want this podcast to be about, is more solution based, and how people like us who go through these types of mental illnesses and drug addictions, and how we can get ourselves out, not just individually, but as father and son. How can we do this together?
This is hard. This is hard. But
Do you want peace? Do you want closure?
I guess you could say that. Just
say what?
You said what you said. Peace and closure.
That's what you want.
In a sense, I just hope I can not be like this where I'm at anymore.
What do you think you are?
Just not in a good spot.
How so?
Mental problems.
What mental problems? We're gonna keep driving you with questions until we get to the core. That's what I used to do to people in county. People would come to me with all these saying they were this, they were that, but they never understood why. And I just kept asking question after question after question, peeling the layers of an onion to get to the core of the issues. What problems do you think you have?
Depression.
Why do you have depression? Or what are you depressed about? What makes you not want to get out of bed?
The mom situation. Oof. This, myself.
Let's start with the first one. So I kind of wanted to talk about earlier, because I know that's huge, man. And I know you don't talk about her to anybody. Tell me about your mom.
She's, I'm just going to say she was, she's a really nice, caring mom, and she tried her best for me. And that's all she wanted, was the best for me.
What would you tell her right now if she's watching this?
I'll just start off with saying I don't hate you. I know that's probably hard to believe, but I don't. I should have did more to help with the situation you were in. That's all I got.
Does that help? Kind of being able to kind of talk to her.
talk to her. She wouldn't talk to me. So why bother?
I just want to be clear. You don't feel that you're responsible for that, right?
I do.
Why?
Cause she was going through a lot. I put her through a lot too.
What did you put her through?
I just said some things to her and did some things to her that I probably shouldn't have done. I took her for granted.
All right, man. As your father, you did absolutely nothing. Nothing. It's her fault, her loss. There was nothing you did or that I want you to think that you did of why she's the way she is and why the way I was the way I was. People are messed up until they're not anymore. I remember I used to say to myself, I hope my son knows that I love him. I hope he knows that I'm sitting here day in, day out, thinking about him, wishing I was with him, wishing I was able to talk to him, because I didn't know what was going on through your mind. I didn't know if this was how you were feeling towards me and how you're feeling towards your mom right now. And that was the last thing I wanted you to feel. I didn't want you to think that this was your fault. I didn't want you to think that I abandoned you or that I didn't want to be a dad to you or I didn't want to be in your life. In that, asking those questions, does he feel this way about me, made me go 10 times harder, as in working to get out. And now I continuously work hard to be in your life, to stay in your life. I love you, dude. Appreciate you opening up, being vulnerable. It was hard. I know it was. Next episodes will be a little bit better, a little bit more lighter. We won't be as dark. It was definitely real and raw conversations that we just had, man. But thank you again for tuning in, and be sure to like and subscribe to continue us to follow us on this journey. All right, guys. Later.